something like 14% of your daily.
There's like 3 eggs in there.
Intake. You're not always getting 14% because your body is only uptaking some of that. But with eggs, on the other hand, because it's such a superfood, it has your proteins, it has your carbs, even has a little bit of fats. That's going to basically provide you your complete macronutrient profile.
What's the CAD USD right now? 79. We're high.
It's very expensive if you're buying it from a freeze drying company, but if you make it yourself, it's in making things like this that's going to help you pay off your freeze drying machine in relatively short order. So would strongly recommend egg powder, probably one of the #1 preps.
Been pretty static over the years,
Up
5
next
years.
is peanut butter powder. Peanut butter powder will last about 5 to 10 years.
I remember in 2011 when it was parity and it was actually higher. Our dollar was worth more than the US dollar.
Out of it, then it's
What?
down to a fine powder. Okay,
That was special.
So this will last between 5 to 10 years. Realistically, Mylar bags, silicone.
But it's always been either half
it's going to last
or 3/4 or so.
But to err on the side of caution, the great thing about peanut butter powder is that there are a lot of really good nutrients in here. That's something you want to keep in mind with any of these powders. If you're going to a place like the Bulk Barn or a bulk store, make sure you look at the fat content of the.
Oh wow, so if it's that easy to just pick this up, you know what I mean, that's also interesting. I mean, you're probably paying quite the premium. But if it lasts more than 5 years, are you really gonna save with this other machine? I have my doubts.
Powders.
And also a matter of efficiency and simplicity, you know.
If it's over 10%.
Hey honey, I bought this huge ass machine to fucking change our food and we have it for 30 years. What do you think?
Then chances are that's going to drastically diminish the shelf life of whatever you're trying to store. So you want to get stuff with a low fat content. Fat will go bad over time. It'll taste rancid and it's just not going to be good in the long run. So this is going to be great to use in smoothies or baking. Or of course you can make peanut butter and put peanut butter on whatever you'd put peanut butter on, which is pretty much everything. Up next is the nectar of the gods, and that is skim milk. Skim milk powder is one of the best things you can store because it's going to store for a long time. It has all of the micronutrients that you need in order to survive. It has a lot.
Until now, all the products are
do a lot of different
like very good.
You can mix this
the egg stuff is probably really good.
Powdered milk.
Even just eating it like this, I like to eat powder stuff just like that sometimes.
For preparedness, so make sure you store some. I would actually recommend that you just go and buy the powder.
I never had this ever. I'd love to try it.
Don't bother freeze drying it yourself, or it's going to take a long time. Okay, just go and
I bet that's a good point.
Buy some of the powdered.
Because how much milk is there in here, dude? I mean, that seems like it's quite a lot of milk because there's a lot of water in milk. So if it's 90% water or more, you're losing 90% of your volume just to create a little bit. So you'll have to keep adding milk, and it's gonna take forever.
Stuff in bulk.
So even he says buy this instead of making it.
Our bags, you're good to go. All right, so up next is hemp powder. Now, hemp powder is renowned for its health benefits. It also has a lot of protein in it, and that's why it's used in a lot of protein shakes.
Can you smoke this, man?
It has kind of a dry, kind of sandy taste to it. It's personally not my favorite in terms of taste, but I know in terms of nutrients, you can't go wrong with something like this.
By the way, I don't think you can smoke this, but it looks like ash, but
this is
hemp
rated to
powder.
be around 2 years. But as with all of
a bunch of proteins,
these things, it's probably going to last a lot.
Maybe fiber?
Longer. Just make sure you get a hemp powder that has a low fat content. This one is under 10%. So you're going to want to keep it under 10%. Similar to hemp powder, veggie protein is going to provide you with a lot of the essential amino acids.
Because you can't keep vegetables unless you can them. So I think it's going to be much better canned than this. What is that?
It's going to be a bit more expensive than your normal whey protein powder, but it's also going to last a little bit longer, and there's less that's going to go bad in here. A lot of this has had the oils pressed out of it, just like the hemp. If you are somebody who's lactose intolerant, go with the hemp protein and the veggie protein.
Oh, that's curly.
Up next is baking powder. Now, why baking powder instead of baking soda? Well, actually, I store both. But baking powder is good because it has some leavening agents which are going to allow you to use it for cooking right from the hop. You don't have to add anything else. It does contain sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda. And when this expires for its food-related purposes, it's still going to be good as sodium bicarbonate long afterwards. So this is going to have an indefinite shelf life, and would strongly recommend storing a lot of this stuff. Would also be great for barter and trade post SHDF. I recently talked about this one. Cocoa is great to store. It's very rare in North America. There was a time when this stuff was used as money because of its rarity. So you definitely want to store cocoa for obvious reasons.
Damn, cocoa, dude. Great value.
Everybody likes chocolate. Now up next is
cocoa.
Cinnamon. Now, like a variety of these powders I'm going to show you today, many have been shown to have positive health effects. So cinnamon is a great antioxidant. It does.
Okay, it may lose potency over time. Antifungal properties, can be used as a preservative, may treat infections, and used in dental applications like toothpaste.
Have some antifungal properties, so you can mix this with other powders or other things in order to help them preserve.
There's going to be other benefits to cinnamon.
Ensure that bad things can't grow in whatever it is you're trying to store. And once again, it is a more expensive commodity, so storing something like this would be great for trade.
Are we playing Moldaya, dude?
Up next is whey protein.
It's really good.
Whey protein is a byproduct of cheese production, and it has a reported shelf life of 2 years. But I would venture to say that if properly stored in a dry and low oxygen environment, this is going to store for a long
Here first.
The great thing about
today's changes
is that it has everything that milk has in it, plus some carbs and some filler. So you really are getting a meal replacement when you use whey protein. You just mix it with water. You don't have to mix it with milk, and it will make.
Damn, this card is 40 some bucks, dude.
Which is going to give you the power to do whatever you have to do after the grid goes down. Up next is Parmesan Powder. Now, this is not grated Parmesan cheese. Now, something like this is
gotta be played standard to be that price.
For a year or two if stored in this way. If you freeze it, it's going to last a bit longer. I've never
into a main deck.
But Parmesan cheese,
you don't get prices like this unless it's
was used as
the case
in the past. So
see?
It's something which is chocolate.
Blue black control standard, great deck apparently.
So that's something to be mindful.
We're gonna wait until that rotates out.
Doesn't hurt to have some Parmesan cheese on hand. On the topic of cheese, the next one is Kraft cheese powder. Now this is the stuff that you find in Kraft dinner. So this is so
Old Man of the Sea
that we know that it's going to last a lot
Arabian
longer
Nights
than any of us. So
look at the jumps. Look at this insane jump. 500 something, 600. It has the hardest time to position itself, but is that used? You know what I mean? It's just old. It's like too old. Arabian Nights, dude. It's too old. You know, 43 bucks. This thing was 40 bucks in 2013. What for? I've never seen this in play ever. And it was 100 bucks in 2018 for some reason. 200 bucks. I think it's just like, you know, quintessential magic. It's like Flying Men. Just a card that you remember. And maybe it was played. Maybe at this price, I think it's gotta be played in old decks.
You can actually get real cheese powder, and that's going to be a lot more expensive.
But I'm keeping an eye on Arabian Nights. I missed my chance with Wacky Island. Okay, I don't want to miss it again.
But this
I'm gonna find something else in Arabian Nights
too. More readily accessible, and if you have kids, you know, you can put some of this on there. They might be more apt to eat it. Probably going to have some of that bad stuff, you know, from the old world, like MSG and things of that nature. But if it keeps the kids happy, then it's probably worth it. Up next is Pancake mix. Now, like a lot of these things, you can mix and match these powders to do different things. So basically all this is a combination of flour, baking powder. It's gonna have some salt and some sugar in there, but it's gonna be a ready-made thing. This is gonna last damn near forever, guys. This has salt in it, this has baking powder in it. The baking powder may lose its effectiveness over time, but in terms of the actual flour, because you also have a little bit of salt in there too. Flour itself will store for 30 years if properly stored. I'm not worried at all about the shelf life of this. And again, if you have young people in your group, Pancake mix is a great morale booster. Up next is Alfredo powder. Now, Alfredo powder contains modified cornstarch, powdered butter, dried milk, dried whey, corn,
Potato, what is that?
Parmesan Romano cheese, salt, and numerous other preservatives. So this, because it has all of those milk byproducts, is probably not going to store as long as some of the other stuff here. But again, there's so many chemicals in here that I'm confident that this is probably going to last for a decent amount of time. I am by no means a chef, but you can...
Damn, I don't think that would have been something I would have stored, or he would have
use this
stored.
stuff to make a lot of meals even tastier. So Alfredo
I mean,
powder,
of course, very
check it out.
tasty, but
Up next is
the downfall
potato
is
flakes.
it's not
Now,
gonna
this is the
last
one
that much.
food that I kind of broke my rule on, and it's the only one that's not a powder. And basically that's because this is a famine food. Okay, this is going to last between 20 to 30 years. This is primarily for the purpose of calories. This is just straight carbs. This is going to serve the same function as your flours and your rice and your other grains. So definitely
Welcome back to
potato
Arabian
flakes
Nights.
is going to lend itself to a variety of different recipes.
This
And in
side.
this flake form, you get a lot of options with respect to what you can do with it. So would strongly recommend potato flakes. Up next is chickpea powder. Like
Just looking at the sets right now.
stored properly.
Didgeridoo, happy to see it here. I think I have 3 of them.
Like chickpea powder,
Bought them for like 4 or 5 bucks each.
very high
Reserve list.
content. It contains a lot of the essential,
But there's just not many minotaurs.
and it's
It
just
doesn't
a
make
very dense
that
form
much
of
that many
protein
deck.
and protein. So would strongly recommend chickpea powder, and you can put this in a variety of dishes as well. Up next,
Wacky Island.
crowd pleaser, and that's Jello.
It's in my face every fucking
Just a
week, dude.
morale booster. It's something that's easy to
It was
make.
200 bucks
Not
last
so
year.
bad. It's cheap and it's going to last indefinitely. So
But hey, I would have had to park 200 buck
up next
on
are
a card
turmeric
that
and curry powder.
barely
Now, the
saw
only
play, you know.
difference between these two things is that this contains a lot more other spices.
That's normal when you're in the money game. You're gonna make good scores and you're gonna miss good scores and you're gonna lose. You know, that's normal.
This chili powder.
All part of the story.
So this is basically
Losing sucks. Not missing on money sucks, but not like losing.
These are things that you're going to want to mix
You know,
into.
I haven't lost that
You can
much.
mix it with all
I've
your
missed
grains,
but not
rice,
lost that much.
Your noodles, stuff like that.
Smothering tit, happy to see it at 40 bucks.
Some health benefits,
Could have
although
bought.
the jury is still out on it.
I'm sure a bunch of
Has
people bought them at
a
$5 bucks
ingredient
each.
in there called curcumin,
Could have bought a few
which
for $8 bucks.
reportedly has a lot of health benefits.
But I have one.
Scientifically proven. However, it's only 3%.
Probably won't reprint this.
So it doesn't have a very high amount of that in here. However, there are still some potential health benefits, and it's very
Armogoyf going up.
buy this in bulk.
People are noticing.
Definitely worth looking at.
Urza Saga going up. Happy to have one.
Chicken soup base or beef bouillon, either or. Basically, this
One
is
library
just
going up.
to flavor some of your foods. Okay, this is going to have a really
Got
high
an Arabian
salt
Night
content,
here.
so you know it's going to last damn near forever.
Repentant Blacksmith.
What's going to get to this is moisture, so it could potentially
Again,
turn
old ass
off.
card. Protection from red. Cool in a deck.
Solid,
Really good in a
that's
deck.
not what you want. So using
Back in the
this
day, you
packet,
know.
putting this in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, it's going to last a long, long time. And even then, I highly doubt this could ever go bad just because of that high sodium content. And there's probably going to be lots of MSG in it.
Secret layers are going down.
All right,
These ones.
so up next is garlic salt. Now, ideally, I would have garlic powder. Garlic is just one of those things which is good to consume every day. They say there's a lot of health benefits.
Urtai Wizard Adept. It's on the reserve list. It's 2350.
But, you know,
It's a wizard.
something you might want
So
to
wizard's deck,
but garlic
right?
salt,
And
figure
4
you
tap
can
counter
use
target
salt, why
spell
not make it garlic
as an
salt?
instant.
Maybe it'll even keep the bad spirits away after things go to hell. Up next is beef gravy. Now, if properly stored, it will store for up to 2 years.
How low can it go, I think, you know?
Put this on your mashed potatoes. You can put it on practically. And
But how high can it really go, though?
If you have meat, if you have
Brine sheets always used to be
but it
quite
doesn't hurt to
high.
store some of this. Very cost
think.
effective. And it's just going to be another one of those things that's going to bring more life to your staple food supply. Up next is cornmeal. Okay, this can be used for the basis of a lot of different types of cakes and breads. gonna last over 10 years. Can't go wrong with cornmeal.
Flip a coin for a card on the reserve list. I think could very much go high if it's really good.
Other things, it's gonna last as long as wheat lasts. So it's great though because it makes for a good cereal in the morning. And you put some brown sugar on.
Okay, you flip a coin. It really blows. It's a flying 2-1 for 3. You flip a coin. If you lose, it dies. It just dies.
Fruit juice mix. Okay, the water that you have to drink after disaster.
You can't stop it.
Be as clean and as good tasting as the stuff that you're used to coming out of the tap. This might just make
If played with the bobble, should I consider it more? Maybe. It does bring back your lands, if I recall, to your library on top.
Up next is cornstarch. Lots of uses both inside and outside the kitchen, and a surprising amount of uses that aren't food related at all. Let me know what ideas you have for prepping pantry powders. That's a tongue twister. Let me know in the comment section below, and don't forget, if you want to get yourself a Harvest Right freeze dryer, check out the link in the description. It helps support the channel. I am an affiliate with Harvest Right. They're the only company that makes freeze dryers, and we're going to be doing more videos on that because there's something about a machine that can make pretty much any food you throw at it last 25 to 30.
Well, if you're affiliated, you've got a fucking link I can click on. Right? He's got a website. That's cool. Yep, right here. First one.
Which is pretty.
What is the cost of this machine, chat?
Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Don't forget, the strong survive, the prepared thrive. Canadian Prepper out.
Thank you very much.
The best way to support the channel.
Make your bets. Make your bets.
I am an.
How much is this machine? This machine dries out stuff. Right? Electricity powered, I assume, and it dries stuff. How much do you think this is? Right? It's a mini game. You're gonna say what? 500, 600, 700 US. Let's talk US because I think this could be CAD. We'll fix it if it's CAD, but I think it's US dollars. 400, 600, 7, 8. I'm gonna say 1,000. 1,001. I'm gonna say 1,001 US. Harvest Right. But if you like to freeze dry, but anyway, that's your machine. Ah, there it is. The small one is actually 2,500 US. Quite the serious machine. It's more than I thought. Big one. So this one has 1, 2, 3 slots, 4 slots, 5 slots. It's just a matter of how much are you doing at the same time, right? Cost efficiency, of course, but time efficiency. Want to give me a cookie? No cookie? Yeah, so is it worth it? Is it not? It's your choice.
An affiliate with Harvest Right. They're the only.
With a little flashlight, extra cord for my wife.
Marine X
phone. I use a Google phone, and she uses a
X Marine.
Here is a
gonna have weapons with him too.
Shears. They fold all
so I'm not surprised if we see a big ass AR-15, some pistols.
Belt, off yourself, and they also
well
have
prepped.
These are they're made by Leatherman. They're called the Raptor Rescue Shears. They also have here
not just for like survival, but defense.
Yeah, here we go. So this cutter here,
But you always need someone in
apply
charge
this
of
to a
defense.
seat belt. You know, makes for easy cutting. You can cut the seat belt. You can also fold the shears back up, hold them in your hand, and you can use the glass
Letterman.
breaker here as a stabbing mechanism. All right, so I primarily keep this area pretty empty.